the way here. I've got, hold on, I got to reorder
How are we doing this? Are we doing one at a time, or are we all going?
We're all going to do our whole slate.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to fit Moonraker into that list now that you've
Number
seen it
one,
and really thought
clearly.
about it.
No comment. Okay. Let me go top 8 here. I'm going to go top 8. This is MySpace.
Yeah, the MySpace list. All right.
And my top 8 starts with Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker, which I like quite a bit. I liked quite a bit more after I saw Annihilation and then went back and watched Stalker again. That's a cool experience and a great way to handle that movie. My number 7 is the Muppet Movie. It started it all. Number 6 is a movie we talked about on the podcast, I think just last week, because Jake, you talked about Art Carney beating out one of the most competitive Best Actor slates when he won for, I can't even remember what movie he won for.
Harry and Tonto is the name of the movie.
There it is. He beat for the Godfather
Jack Nicholson
2.
in Chinatown, Pacino in The Godfather Part 2, Dustin Hoffman and Lenny. I can't remember the other one, but yeah, he somehow, Art Carney got the Oscar win that year.
Right. So Art Carney starred with George Burns and Lee Strasberg in Going in Style, a great heist movie about old dudes robbing a bank that got remade by who do we decide it was? Michael Caine and
Morgan Freeman
and some other third guy.
Didn't Zach Braff direct that too?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
He directed something where I was like, really? Him?
It's a different Morgan Freeman movie.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
No, I am. Number 4 or number 5 is Alien. I don't think I have to say much about Alien. It's Alien. Number 4 is Saint Jack, a Peter Bogdanovich movie about a dude wasting away in East Asia.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for our Bogdanovich episode. Jake hasn't seen any Peter Bogdanovich movies.
Oh, wow.
Super blind spot. I'm kind of embarrassed.
And then my list gets like a little predictable, boring from here. Number 3 is Rocky 2, which feels important now.
Wow, you don't like Moonraker, huh? All right. Okay, cool. All right.
My number 2 movie is Real Life. I do like it then. And then number 1, sorry to be predictable, it's Apocalypse Now. Mike, what do you got for us?
I've got on Letterboxd. I have 41 movies logged for 1979.
Number 41.
Number 41.
I'll give you my top 10. My top 10 for 79 is pretty wild because it's a mix of like kind of some of the obvious choices and a lot of just like weird B stuff that like I love. And there's a couple movies on here that like people generally hate that I love. And I think some of it's probably like nostalgia from childhood. But anyway, number 10, I've got The Warriors, which is just, great. At number 9, I've got Stalker, which we've covered on our podcast, which was a great episode, great movie. We did a
great
thing
book if you want more Stalker experience, Brad.
I'm not a big Russian literature guy, but we'll see.
You don't have to read it in Russian. It's cool.
Yeah, we read the book and watched the movie. It was cool. My number 8 is John Badham's Dracula with Frank Langella and Laurence Olivier. I think it's just a fun take on the Dracula story. I mean, there's so many versions, but that version's really good. Number 7 is The Black Hole, which is a movie a lot of people hate, but I love that movie. I even rewatched
talk about like Star Wars ripoff fever.
Yeah, for sure. And I rewatched it like 2 years ago because like I was like, that can't stand up. Like it's gotta suck. And I watched it. I was like, that movie's so great. What's people's problems with this movie? It's so good.
When I was a kid visiting my grandparents in Florida, that was the movie that was always on. I've probably seen that movie 10 or 11 times.
Yeah, so good.
I had the read along like 45 record, like picture book.
Yeah, I had the cassette, like the book and cassette. My number 6 is Werner Herzog's Nosferatu. There are 2 Dracula movies on my list. Number 5 is Steve Martin's The Jerk, like one of my favorite Steve Martin movies, one of my favorite comedies, like just classic. My number 4 is Phantasm, one of my favorite horror movies, which a lot of people hate, but I love that movie. My number 3 is Lucio Fulci's Zombie, also known as Zombie 2, also known as Zombie Flesh Eaters, but it's my all-time favorite zombie film. Amazing movie. A little slow, but it's just so good. My number 2 is Alien, and my number 1, to no one's shock, is Apocalypse.
All right, Charlie, lay it on us.
Yeah, I'll do 10. Good amount of overlay with what y'all have gone through so far as well. My number 10, Mike, Warriors as well. Not the director's cut that came out a few years ago. Don't watch it. It's not good. Watch the original one.
Yeah.
The one that the studio butchered. It's better.
Yeah.
Muppets movie. Yeah, absolutely love it. It's low because I think there are better Muppets movies. Some of those star Charles Garoon, star of real life. The Jerk. Yeah, it's been a while since I watched it. I don't know. Have pretty fond memories of that movie. I like to think it holds up, but I don't know.
I'm going to jump in. Mike, when was the last time you watched The Jerk?
It's last year. I'm currently rewatching every Steve Martin movie right now, and so that was what I watched last year, and I still love it.
We talked. We met. Charlie joked. Go from 41. Jerk is my lowest movie in my 1979 list.
And I understand that. Like,
I mean,
doesn't click with some people. That's fine.
I watched it for the first time in 2021, and that's just not how to watch The Jerk. You have to have watched it.
I think so.
Yeah. I think if you watch it when you're 13, like it might be the best movie ever made. Yeah.
Right,
my number 7. Now we're starting to get into some like Criterion discoveries that Mike and I have gone through our podcast. The Brood, just solid Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Right. So Canadian. Right. But also so creepy and weird. I like that one a lot. Australian film, My Brilliant Career by Gillian Armstrong. Just sort of excellent, like kind of proto-feminist period piece. My number 5, a little movie called Moonraker.
Nice.
Number 4, Stalker. I like that movie a lot, as we've discussed. Number 3, Apocalypse Now.
Ooh,
it didn't hit number 1. Number 2, a film that Mike adores, Shohei Imamura's Vengeance Is Mine. Kind of a Japanese, kind of nasty little like serial killer crime.
It's towards the bottom
movie.
of my list.
You like it or you don't. It's very, very divisive. And then number 1 is Alien, which is quite possibly a perfect movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jake, let's have it.
Well, I technically have a top 9, although after having listened to Mike's list, I can say I've definitely seen The Warriors and The Jerk, and my memory of them is that I like both of them a lot, but I haven't seen them in the Letterboxd era, so I don't have them like marked on there on my list, but those would be my honorable mentions for 1979. And then my list, if I'm going from 9 to 1, 9, sorry, Brad, is Real Life. It's my least favorite.
Made the
8,
list.
Wait, so this is my question. But you're including it now because I have movies from.
Have you seen 9 movies from
them.
this year? Is that why it's on the list?
That's all I've got. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right.
So there's a reason I didn't say The Jerk or Castle of Cagliostro. Not every Miyazaki movie is good.
No, I'm just going with what I have. I'd like to get. I wish I had 10, but I don't. I don't. 8 then would be Moonraker. Number 7 is the TV version of All Quiet on the Western Front that starred Ernest Borgnine.
So we're still in you don't like it territory.
Yeah, it's not great, but now we're getting to number 6. Now we're getting to movies that I do like. Number 6 is Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Again, haven't seen it in a while, but I do like it. It's good. Number 5, I mentioned earlier, is the Neil Young concert film Rust Never Sleeps. It was the first Neil Young album I ever heard. Fell in love with Neil Young. Still obsessed with him today. Still think it's a really, really good concert movie.
It is, yeah. It's excellent.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. I might have to rethink my list. Yeah, good pull.
Yeah, it's cool. Thank you. Number 4 is Rocky 2. Not as good as Rocky 1, but I do really, really enjoy it.
It is fun.
Yeah, it's just a good sequel. I mean, it's the right ending, and it's cool. It's a really good follow up to a really, really good movie. I think Rocky 1 holds up really, really well today still.
Are we dedicating this episode to Carl Weathers?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. And maybe after this we can get a stew going, Number 3, we're getting familiar territory now. Number 3 is the Muppet Movie. Number 2 is Alien, and then number 1 is Apocalypse Now.
Oh, Apocalypse Now! Come on.
We are very creative people with diverse choices and tastes.
I thought this list was pretty crazy, right? Because I would say that like looking at I looked at like a list of movies that came out in 1979 to kind of refresh this. I don't have a Letterboxd, but it was like those are like. They're like 10 really good movies that came out this year, like really good movies, and then a lot of movies that weren't that good.
So I'm trying to make these pretty strong top 10 to 20 lists for every year going back as far as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit a real snap. Like 1983 is impossible. It's got to be the worst year ever in movies. It's really the only year where I can't find 10 really good movies.
Sure.
And maybe 1970, but that could also just be I haven't seen enough. But besides that, the 70s, every year, easy 10, sometimes 20.
Yeah, but I would say truly there's like 2 all-timers on this list.
Oh, that's true.
And then maybe, it's kind of, I like this movie too.
I'm going to ask everybody to watch or rewatch St. Jack. It's really, really quite excellent. And
never heard of it, yeah.
So good.